Hi, I'm Krista Dawson, the Director of Education here at the Children's Museum. Thank you so much for being guest readers for Read Across America Day. I wanted to give you a few little tips about read aloud strategies so that you can have the most impactful and fun story time today, or whatever day you're doing it. A couple of quick things. Even if you're coming in just this morning or you're just on a given day to provide a story time, please take the time to preview your book. So read through the book, make sure you're familiar with what's coming up, what the vocabulary is. If there's language that you're not as familiar with, get more comfortable with it. And let me just give you a really quick, I've read Know David, it's a David Shannon book, and if I didn't know what was coming, just imagine what would happen in your story time if you turn the page and this is what you see. And you see little David completely nude running down the street. Now when your audience, and when you're here, your audience is going to be under 5. So this is going to be giggle fest and behavior might change. If I knew that page was coming, I could make my predictions and I could also prime my audience and say the next page is really silly, but we're not going to act silly. We're just going to giggle like this. Let's practice. And then share the page and then you keep control. So please preview your book. When you share your book, please make sure that your whole audience can see it. If you do have a really big audience and you need to span and let them all see the picture, please go very slowly. So when you're reading, please identify the title, the author, and the illustrator. That's a kindergarten readiness skill that we can just be doing every single time we read. So no matter where you're reading for us, title, author, illustrator. So for this one, I want to make sure that my audience can see, so I'm going to shift myself. Bark George by Jules Pfeiffer. That means he wrote the words and he did the pictures. So if you're turning the page and you're trying to share it, I've got people way over here and people way over here. Please don't do this. Can you see the pictures? No, neither can the kids. If you do have to span or pan the room, please go really slowly so that kids have time to focus. Also be aware that if you've got kids sitting right at your feet and you're holding your book up high, they're not really going to see it. So be aware of your audience and where you need to hold the book so that everybody can see effectively. Another recommendation for read aloud is don't go too fast. Kids want to take time to absorb the pictures and connect your words to the pictures. So if I'm reading Bark George, my voice and my mannerisms are going to be as much of the storytelling tool as the book itself is. So take advantage of that. Bark George. George's mother said. So use those powerful pauses to help bring the anticipation into the story as well. Bark George. George went, meow. And then see how I use my body to help relay my surprise? So I'm going to use that to keep the engagement, changing my voice for the meow, so it wasn't meow. It doesn't work as well if I say, Bark George, George went meow. So think about that as you're sharing the story too. Keeping your pacing, and then one last thing I want to make sure you do as you work through the story, and if you didn't get to read the whole story, you'll have to go to the library and check out Bark George. So she was so thrilled that she kissed the vet and the cat and the duck and the pig and the cow. On the way home, she wanted to show George off to everyone on the street. So she said, Bark George, and George went, hello. The end. That wasn't very satisfying, was it? You just kind of felt like we rushed through it and you didn't even know the end was coming, and then all of a sudden the end was here and we were done. So a famous author, Mem Fox, love her, go look her up on the website. She talked about slowing down and letting it be a soft and satisfying resolution. And I've been using that in my story times, and wow, it's really impactful. So let's go back and do that again, making sure that we give that satisfying closure to the story. George's mother was so thrilled that she kissed the vet and the cat and the duck and the pig and the cow, and my fingers can also be a reminder there's a lot going on here so I can cue kids. On the way home, she wanted to show George off to everyone on the street. So she said, Bark George. And George went, hello. The George is a very surprising dog, isn't he? Do you think he actually swallowed a person? So another recommendation, as you set the stage reading the title, author, and illustrator, you can ask kids a couple of questions. What do they think it's going to be about? Pause if there's a natural place to do so and ask a question. And then as you finish, also kind of closing it all up by asking people what they thought or giving them a little nudge like I just did, like, do you think George swallowed a person because he said hello? So you don't just abruptly end and then don't know what to do. So a final tip as you're reading through, while it's nice to ask prediction questions or pause or comment on something that's happening in the story, please be aware of the continuity of the story. If you stop too often and ask too many questions, the kids are kind of left wondering, where is this story going? What just happened? I've had 5 questions asked of me and I'm now not remembering what happened in the story. So please keep a nice flow and get through the story with a minimal of interruptions. And usually the interruptions are just an enhancement to help deepen the understanding of the story. But most of all, have fun. Share a story that you enjoy, make sure you previewed it, title, author, and illustrator, make sure kids can see all of the pictures, and then read with expression and use your body and your voice. Thanks for reading with us.